All right, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to discuss something I noticed in the historical community a little bit from a chat group I've been in. Um, and that's a negative form, what I would actually consider at least to be negative gatekeeping, in the sense that I don't generally agree with that term being used in the hobby when it's applied to things like having sort of standards in the hobby. And I think, you know, it's one thing to have standards that are sort of the something people should strive for. And if people don't meet that all the time, that's okay. But the idea is that you try. But one form of negative gatekeeping I think that I've seen a little bit of in the historical community is this idea that rules systems like the ones Warlord Games comes up with are just, you shouldn't even bother with them. And if someone is playing them, they're stupid or whatever. And I'm being a little dramatic, exaggerating a little bit for effect. But that's not far off from what I've seen. And I think this is a negative form of gatekeeping for historical war games. And given that people think the hobby's in decline or it needs to grow and reach out to people, I think this is the wrong approach. Personally, I like the Warlord rules because they're really simple and easy to learn with. Uh, you're not gonna, it's not a lot of technical stuff. They're not simulation rules, but they're not written to be that way. They're pretty upfront and they're designed to be easy to run rules for if you're a gaming club or friends. They're easy to play, easy to get into. Are they the best rules for a given period? Absolutely not. I could probably make a whole other video about pike and shot and, for the kind of wars I'm interested in for that period, about how there's a lot of things that leave a lot to be desired. But in terms of giving you a framework to work with, nothing wrong with it. And, that almost kind of makes it easier to house rule because there's not a lot of stuff that you're dealing with. And, just in my own sort of development with historicals, I started playing bolt action, and, I was playing that with my brother, a little bit competitively, and I still like bolt action. But in terms of getting something a little more historical, because my brother's also a history buff, especially with World War II, we tried Battle Group, and because I wanted to try something that had a little more historical grounding to it, and and I like Battle Group for that, for doing that. Flames of War is not as much of a simulation. Still like it. Still a fun game. But my point with this is overall, I think it's a little premature to just bash these rule systems that are seen as entry level or kind of bland, because they're not, complex enough, or, it's too, or it's too beer and pretzels. Well, you need a little bit of that. And like with my own experience, starting with bolt action, and that's a fun to get into and sort of push World War II figures around. But then if you want something that's more, with a more hardcore historical flavor, it's out there, and there's plenty of options. So, just saying, oh, Warlord's stupid, or these, or Flames of War maybe is oh, this is just too beer and pretzels. Okay, yeah, I mean, these, like I said, I agree that these rules are simplistic, but for someone that's never played a historical war game before, or any war game, you kind of want that. And And then if they're invested into the hobby, and if there's standards in other areas of the hobby that they can strive to in terms of painting, in terms of knowledge and effort you put into it, the people that are worthwhile in the hobby that want to be a part of it will improve over time. But they need that foot in the door rule system. So if people want to grow historical wargaming, I think that's a better way to have these kind of simple, entry level systems, and then they can work up to that. And as a corollary, just saying like, well, everybody should just play skirmish games instead. I don't think that's good either. I really am not a fan of skirmish games. They can be fun. There's certainly a place for them. I get why people like them. I'm not a fan personally as much. Although there are some I'd like to try, like Saga, Age of Crusades. I think it'd be fun to play Turk, Seljuk, or Islamic army in that. Anyway, that's not related to this. But, if people see the sort of big battle type part of the hobby in historicals pushing for these complicated rules, I think it would be better not to just dismiss those rules out of hand, or the reaction to that sentiment among larger scale battle players saying, oh, just play skirmishes. Well, not everybody wants to play skirmishes, and so in the larger figure count, I should say, to be more precise, end of things, there needs to be these entry-level options for people getting into the hobby. So that's my video for today. Kind of a shorter one, or, not as exciting maybe. And hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you next time.